think it comes up saying that we're live. Yeah, there we go. We're live. Welcome along, gents. Thanks so much for joining me, and hopefully we get a few participants and guests this morning. For those that are joining, you should have a comment section there. Let us know where you're joining from. Beautiful day here in South Auckland. A few clouds in the sky, a bit of wind, but yeah, better weather than we've had in the past. Water tanks are full. It's been pretty wet. Where are you joining from, Adam?
Yeah, I'm from down in Melbourne in Victoria, and yeah, it's been bucketing down here, so our water tanks are filling currently.
Hopefully you don't support the storm.
No.
Had a bit of a bad run.
Not
Hey
going so
Dylan,
well.
thanks for joining. And Matthew, thanks for joining too. Very cool. And David, you look like you're in an office. Whereabouts are you joining from?
Yeah, I'm in an office, sunny Sydney, a beautiful autumn day.
Yeah, I see that Niels has joined, and he mentioned it was quite beautiful there today. That's cool. Hey Steve, thanks for joining. We'll just wait for a few minutes until a few people join in. Very cool. What's everyone got on their agenda today? Adam, you mentioned you got woken up by a P1 this morning. That's never nice. Hopefully the rest of the day's a bit easier.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, hopefully that's all. It seems like it's under control now, but it's just the nature of what we do. So see how we go for the rest of the day.
Yeah, very good. We'll wait a couple more seconds for the stragglers to join, and then we'll kick things off. For those that are here, this is really a conversational panel around modern service management and reducing complexity and cost as well. Cost or complexity is a cost killer, right? So today's no slide decks, no product demos, no sales pitches, just real world discussion between those that have done it, those that have seen it, and observing those outcomes in real time. Thanks for joining as well, Stu. Appreciate it. So let's kick things off with a couple of quick intros. And so firstly, we've got Adam Rossiter from Opal HealthCare. Adam has led real-world ITSM transformation, and we're also joined by David Stanton from Freshworks. Spent 7 years at ServiceNow, now at Freshworks. And the premise of this sort of conversation is really about, it's referencing the Freshworks Global Cost of Complexity report. It's really the catalyst for this session. And research shows that complexity is now a measurable business problem. So that's exactly why we're having the conversation today. Morning, Anel and Sam. Thanks for joining. All right, so let's get into it. Adam, I'll turn to you first. Look, give us a few words about yourself, but also take us back to where Opal HealthCare was 2 years ago. What was the situation, and what was the catalyst for change in your mind?
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I work at Opal HealthCare. I'm the ICT Service Delivery Manager there. Look after our service desk function essentially, so level 1, level 2, and app support. Responsible for major incident problem management, service management, change management, and sit across a broader ICT and business improvement function. And yeah, platform owner of Fresh Service. We implemented it back in 2024 following an acquisition where it was being used by a business we acquired. We thought it looked pretty good, so we thought we'd grab a hold of it. To give some context around Opal HealthCare, so we're a national company, one of Australia's largest aged care providers. We've got 146 care communities, as we call them, residential aged care facilities around the nation, with around about 25,000 team members that we support, who support our residents in our care communities. So the purpose of what we do, the purpose for us is to bring joy to those that we care for, and that really shapes how we think about technology. So essentially where we're thinking about Freshservice with the platform, the big focus is like we've had significant growth over the recent last few years. We're continuing on that growth trajectory as well. And a big focus for me is how we scale service delivery sustainably, and as we continue to grow. So to answer your question around where were we 2 years ago and where are we now kind of thing. So previous to Freshservice, we had a legacy ITSM platform. All it was email to case kind of thing, just emails into the system. Very limited in terms of reporting, very limited in visibility of what was happening within that space as well. And lots of manual effort. Knowledge was scattered everywhere, and of course it was only just to capture tickets as well, so it wasn't anything else ITSM related. So lots of rework, lots of manual effort, lots of reliance on individuals to know what they need to do as well. And as we were starting to grow, those sort of cracks became visible. Lots of reliance on a few people to know what to do as well. So obviously, as we grew, the trigger, I guess the catalyst was, we were growing. We needed to do something. We had the acquisition. We saw Freshservice. We saw it in use, and we thought this is a great tool. It was working well for the business that we acquired, and we thought let's give that a crack. So I think that it was really a shift from like, how do we keep up with the pace of things? We don't want to, as we're scaling, we don't want to add more people when we needed to just go and see how we're working, the ways of working. Are we working the right way, essentially? So it was a real chance to change the way that we were working to a better, more efficient way.
And that seems like a fairly common story that I've certainly heard. And even this modern era of like really good SaaS software, we still hear of, email to case situations and companies hampered by lack of good ITSM solutions or even service management solutions. So that's really interesting. David, I'll turn to you. You've spent 7 years at ServiceNow. You're now at Freshworks. You've worked with hundreds of organizations in this position over the years. What do you think about Adam's story? Is this the norm right now, or are you seeing other sort of scenarios play out in the wild?
I think Adam's experience resonates. Moving from whatever that legacy may be, but to a richer set of functionality out of the box, something that makes it easy for the customer to adopt best practice, and that's independent of the tool. And some tools do it better than others. And then after you implement those sort of best practices, something that's scalable out of the box. And the reality is, for all of us, whether it be vendor side or customer side, business cases are being more difficult to fund. When interest rates were lower, it was easier to get business cases signed off. But now we're working in a business climate. It's true, right? Now we're working in a business climate where internal teams and also external vendors are being held more accountable for delivering business outcomes. So
absolutely. We've seen a lot lately, sorry to interrupt, around companies, businesses wanting to do more with less. The budgets are being cut, slashed, frozen. And, in the past year, we've run a series of sort of webinars around doing more with less. And that's what I'm hearing from you is that, customers are having to adopt and do more with the tool, and the tool's having to be more performant as well to deliver more value to the business.
Yeah, I completely concur.
Yeah. And so, Adam, if we sort of turn to the report that I referenced in the opening, we're seeing that we're able to measure now that complexity is a cost to the business, and the research shows 7% of annual revenue is lost due to complexity. And we're talking here, it could be tooling complexity. This discussion is really about tooling, but it could be any kind of complexity in the process of any processes within the business. And employees are nearly losing a day a week of productivity. So how have you seen that at Opal, and how did that impact your decision making around Fresh and how you've gone about implementing it? and also post-implementation adoption across the teams?
Yeah, so I suppose in terms of the report and the numbers as well, can't really formally validate those, but definitely it does resonate with what we're seeing as well. So as I mentioned, we've been on the platform for 2 years, and we've experienced significant growth through that phase as well in terms of the number of communities, residents, and team members that we're supporting. Through that time, we haven't actually added any extra headcount to my team who's supporting that. So we've had an increase in tickets, but we're working more efficiently now as well. We're also, whilst we have had an increase in tickets, we're also able to deflect them through providing knowledge to our team members who've got issues so they can start to self-resolve. Got a lot more work to do in that space, but we've started. And also with the ability to automate some ticket closures as well, which is a great thing to have. And we're definitely getting, so it's able to resolve a lot more tickets than what we ever have been with the same number of people to do it. But I think the other thing too is that we're seeing a lot more, all of our agents, or our team, as like agents is the fresh service term, but my team directly have a lot more knowledge these days as well, because of fresh service is set up. We've got the solution articles in the same place. We're able to bring solution articles into our tickets as well. So the team are learning a lot more than what they ever have been as well. And I think from all of these different disparate systems that we used to have in terms of the service desk sort of function, like you don't think that there'd really be many, but there are. And having them in one place creates so much more efficiency. So we are saving a lot of time from what we previously would have back when we were just on the one platform that just had tickets in it, and then the other teams were using different Excel spreadsheets and different SharePoint lists and all sorts of things that were all over the place. So we've been able to consolidate and have everything in the same place. But yeah, still on a journey. As sort of said, we started off, we implemented the ticketing function, and then have started to build out the other modules. But yeah, still got a bit to do to get that fully matured in terms of all of the functionality. Did I answer your question there? I think there was one other.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a pretty perfect storm. You've increased ticket deflection, sped up issue resolution, and reduced technical debt. So I think everyone on the call would be pretty impressed if they were in your position and able to do that with the tool. So that sounds pretty awesome. David, turning to you, are you hearing similar stories from your customers around ANZ in terms of some of the outcomes that they're getting from Fresh?
You know what, it sounds like Adam's a little bit of a model customer here, right? So I had a smile on my face because I'm thinking, this is someone that's really leaned into and exposed the problem internally, saying let's first time right the approach to getting our way to a better solution. Look, it's not uncommon to see other customers suffering in silence. When you spend a lot of money on IT programs and you've got that legacy investment, you just kind of grind through it and extend the useful economic life. Right? But what Adam's done, I think, is a little bit of a lighthouse for other customers, where if you're transitioning to a tool that gives you best practice, and also it sounds as though he's grown and developed his use cases since day one, that's perfect. And then the teams are a little bit more enabled. It sounds as though that's probably going to be good for morale, and that leans into the 7% number. Adam, I've got a question. Sorry, if it's okay. As you've expanded those use cases, how much of that were you able to do out of the box pretty simply, with the skills within your team?
Yeah, I suppose most of it, I would say. So where we've needed to use some of our other teams internally. So we've done everything internally, but we've got some integrations with some of our other systems, and that's where we've needed to lean on our internal development teams to connect up, say, our HRIS system into it, so we can get some onboarding and offboarding workflows happening. But essentially, I guess to give some context about myself, I'm not a natural IT technical person. I've come from a different background, from a clinical background, would you believe? And from myself, I've been building out a lot of the platform myself. So I think that it's, as you said, like a lot of it's out of the box. I guess from my understanding, my learning, I've learned a lot over the 2 years that I've used Freshservice, but I think if it sort of leans to anything that it's kind of anyone could build it out nearly essentially. But if you're really wanting to expand it across and have it fully integrated across your stack, then you probably do then need to lean on your development teams. But I know that there are a lot of marketplace apps and custom connectors and those sort of things that does make it a little bit more less technical as well to achieve these things. But yeah, so it's been great. We haven't had many. Essentially, we haven't had many in the team needing to input into the build of it. But what I will say is that because we're on this big improvement journey at the moment as well, we have recently employed someone who's just purely focused on the Freshservice platform itself, just so that we can start to build out the rest of the modules that we want to, and have full value of the license that we've got, which is that top tier enterprise license, and use the full functionality.
That's pretty amazing. I often hear stories of customers being concerned about adopting new platforms where they don't have dedicated skills, or it's a new platform, but the fear of vendor dependency and having to, spend bucket loads of money constantly extending the product. So to hear that you've been able to do all of that almost exclusively internally is actually, again, yet another, to your comment, David, shining light. That's pretty cool, actually. I haven't heard that before. So well done to you and your team. In terms of, maybe we could touch on some of those, the pain points, Adam, and to you, David. What were the things that maybe concerned you about taking on this tool, and how did you navigate those, Adam, in terms of not only the adoption, but building out the tool? You've been able to overcome that by using your internal teams, but were there any hiccups along the way? Like, what are the real world examples? Because nothing goes perfectly all the time. You're still developing the tool and slowly extending it throughout the organization, which is awesome. But yeah, what were some of those things that you had to spend a little bit more time on?
Yeah, there's probably a couple of learnings that have come through the last couple of years as well. But yeah, so when we took on the tool, I think one of the key things that we decided was to really take that as an opportunity to change the way that we work in a sense. So in terms of the current tickets that were in the old system, we didn't migrate them across to the new system. We just left them there and continued to resolve them. I know that may not be feasible for some, but that's the approach that we took, because Freshservice was a chance to revisit how we categorize things and configure things as well. So we took that as an opportunity to do that at that time. And with a lot of success. So the buy-in, the engagement from the team with the new platform was amazing, because it was so much better, so much easier. The user experience was 100% better, so that was an easy sell for our team members and agents. But I think one of the things that we found is that getting the foundations right for Freshservice is really important in terms of how you set it up and how you configure it. So I'd recommend having a really good understanding of how the workspaces work and how the global fields work as well. Because like from our experience with using the categories, we'd set up, I think when we took on the tool initially, we had the existing workspace from the company previous, then we added a new workspace in. We weren't using the primary workspace, and then we've got different categories for each workspace as well, where we would have been using the global categories. But that only sort of came to a realization of this recently, where we actually went back to basics with our account managers and asked for or that they offered us some sessions, some free complimentary consulting sessions with one of their technical experts.
Nice.
So he took us through each of the modules, and I'd recommend these for all customers as well. Took us through the modules and gave us an in-depth understanding of them, and we were able to ask questions and say what's best practice and that kind of
Nice.
thing. So got some really good understanding of what that looks like as well. So highly recommend that if you are looking to set up fresh service and yeah, certainly get those foundations right, because it does impact once you start building more and more on top of that. You're building your workflows and how things interact with different workspaces. It's really important. But yeah, the other thing that we were able to, which was not so much a gotcha, but it was just a bit of a bonus that we thought of. So when we first took it on as well, we had a dedicated queue manager who was looking after all the ticket intake, etc. We've now shifted that model now to the whole level 1 team are now doing the queue management function. And it's because they've got the ability to access all the knowledge and understand where tickets need to be routed much easier through some automated workflows and whatnot as well. So that's been one added benefit to getting them engaged and making things quick, because they get exposed to a lot more things that come through and get to learn as well. So yeah, it's but yeah, foundationals, getting the foundations right was probably the key highlight and key message that I think that if we were to go and do it again, that's the lessons that we learned.
That's really good to know. That resonates with me because it's a common message that we kind of provide to our clients when they're taking on a transition, is use the opportunity to invest a bit of time in just reworking some of those business processes. They might have worked for the old tool, but we don't need to build this modern tool around bad practice. We can reimagine that, simplify it. And like you say, you've elevated your level 1 team now. They're providing more value to the business. And that's going to perpetuate throughout the teams and departments as adoption grows. And I think that's what is really, what businesses are really looking for, is getting more value from their investments and their people. David, I was curious, have you seen similar, I suppose, learning curves with other customers in the environment? Or perhaps another way to frame that is what would you wish customers would do more of or knew more of before transitioning to a modern service management platform like Freshservice?
Okay, I'd just like to recognise Adam's summary there as being a really good role model. Yeah. Just to extend a little bit, I'd say for any customers contemplating, doing these sort of changes inside their business, start with the end in mind. I have a thoughtful plan around what your end game is, and then focus the project goals around a higher purpose. So, for example, if it's all about decreasing friction and siloed processes, get the foundations right, which is really where, Adam was reinforcing. If you get the foundations right day one, it will help you do other things in the future in a much more seamless and fast way. So,
absolutely.
Now, where that really helps you with some tools, but not all tools, if you've got a tool that is a platform play and not a point solution, chances are, as your teams become more comfortable with the capability, they say, well, it does that very well. Well, if it can do that, it can do this. And you'll start creating adjacent use cases that are really, really helpful for a new way of working. As you become more and more comfortable with the tool and kind of stretching it. So having the foundation strong will just help you do all of those things in the future, even if you don't have those defined yet.
Yeah, we're seeing that a lot as well, where sometimes we'll have clients approach us around a reactive kind of outcome based on cost or timeline, maybe a renewal's coming up, and they're thinking, like we need to change the tool because I've been told to cut my budget by, reduce my cost by 20%. Now that's all well and good, and we can help there. But if we just use that as the catalyst for change, you're just going to end up having the same problems on your new modern service management tool. You're going to have the same poor workflows, the same poor data. The complexity is not necessarily going to change. The human waste in terms of inefficiency is still going to be in that tool, you might have saved a little bit of cost, but you're going to end up eating that on the back end. So one of the fundamental things that we like to highlight to our clients is, what are you actually trying? What's the real end goal? Because you can save money both in terms of like OpEx licensing costs, but also investment into people. If you can perhaps increase the value of your team by introducing AI, or maybe repurpose people in different areas of the business because you don't need such a big team to resolve your tickets anymore, that's good value, and that's repetitive value as well. So good foundation, clear outcomes, and align with strategy. We often see this being a departmental kind of decision. In reality, like IT is a function of every business, and service is fundamental to every business. So yeah, it's not just a cost decision that we see.
Yeah, Brett, just expanding on that just a little. Another best practice which I've seen customers do very, very well is after the business case has been approved, everyone gets amnesia on what was promised at the front end. So have the discipline after go live to circle back and just do a value realization exercise to say, did we actually deliver what we promised?
Yeah.
Where have we exceeded expectations? Where are there gaps that we can take some learnings from? And that discipline internally gives the cross-functional guys a lot more confidence that you've got a team that can deliver. So next time you go to the CFO and say, I need you to bet on me again, you're more likely to get a favorable outcome on the next business case. It all sounds very common sense, but it's actually a discipline that is very, very, very transparent.
Look, I totally agree. And then, so Adam, I'm curious, like, for your take for customers that are on legacy platforms still battling internally on decisions around what they should do, they might not be sure like what to do next. What's your honest advice here? You've been through this process, perhaps you've also done it in the past as well, but what do you think customers should do? How should they approach something like this?
Yeah, good question. I think it seems like an easy thing to say, but I think just don't wait. If you're just stuck in a place using a legacy platform, like there's a lot of inefficiency in that. There's also probably a bit of risk potentially associated to it. Like for our platform legacy, it wasn't being supported anymore in terms of the system itself. So if you're in that boat, then there's potential risk that you'll lose all your data and everything. So I guess need to factor that thing in. But I think just the inefficiency from working in a system that can't do all of what you need it to do is a real pain point. One thing that we haven't said yet, which is very surprising in any sort of IT meeting, is the two letters AI. And with these legacy systems, that sort of really limits you in being able to sort of set yourself up to be able to leverage automation and AI and those sort of things too, unless you've got really good back-end support to be able to grab that old data and do something with it. But so one of the key things that we're doing at the moment as well, and another piece of advice, is to really look at your processes, which you guys have both touched upon as well. One thing that we had probably 2 years ago too was really lots of our processes were not documented. People were doing different things to solve the problem. So we're getting consistency across our processes. So we've got a thing we refer to as the Opal management system, which is where all of our processes are documented. And we're heading that way with all of our IT processes now. So it's the Opal way every day is what we say in terms of our processes. So
very cool.
Making sure your processes are well documented, well understood, is going to set you up for then to be able to use automation on top of that and use AI.
Yes, of course.
So thinking about with what we've got currently with Fresh Service is Freddy, which is a little AI tool that is built into the system where end users can interact with it and ask questions as well, and it uses your knowledge base and it can understand your processes and how they work, and that can help team members understand what they need to do when tickets come in about certain things as well. So yeah, again, seems like another foundational piece that's not necessarily Freshservice related, but it's just understanding your baseline processes and what should they ultimately be. And I think that with an ITIL and ITSM lens, Freshservice is kind of out of the box already set up and exactly to as well.
And you sort of touched on this. I was going to go to this as my next question, but could you give us a few insights around what you're sort of planning to do over the next 6 months, maybe longer, and how you see not only the platform evolving for you, but what sort of outcomes you see for the department and the business, and success? What does that look like for you? Sort of you're 18 months in, and you've been doing some amazing internal development. You're talking about automation and AI now. What does Opal HealthCare service management look like in the near term?
Yeah, so I suppose the IT side of things, we're sort of relatively mature now in that space with change management, problem management built into it. Where we need to still build out and get some big improvements is asset management. So that's going to be a focus for this year. And I know that there's some recent releases and other stuff coming up this year in the Freshservice platform to make that even better and easier for us. So
amazing.
Looking forward to that. The other thing too is that we're starting to move to an enterprise level with Freshservice as well. So we've already expanded the platform out to our procurement team, our accounts payable team, and to our payroll team. We do have some of our P&C users on it as well. So having it, the vision is for it to become a one-stop shop for service management.
Incredible.
So we've got a self-service portal that's up and running, which started off just being purely IT focused, and now we're adding in those other departments where our team members who need support for something can just go to the one place, ask.
Amazing.
Ready on the front screen, it can ask you the question, and then it can figure out which workspace, whether it's accounts payable, payroll, or to IT, which workspace the ticket needs to be directed to. So we've started on that journey, still got a bit to do to build that out. And I think that over the next 6 months, we'll probably have more of our departments start to come onto the platform. And then what we'll really need to look at is all of our processes that cross those departments. And Freshservice has also just recently released a new module, let's call it, called Journeys, which can have multiple streams of things go across different workspaces within each service. So onboarding is a prime example where it might start on P&C, moves to payroll, then we need to get some access created, so it then moves into IT workspace. So these are the kind of things now that we'll start to focus in on for this year. And then of course I think Freshservice have got lots of stuff coming out around AI and automation as well. So again, we're getting prepared for that space with making sure that we've got our foundational things right and our processes embedded as well, so that we can leverage that once it's fully available. And so exciting times ahead this year.
Very, very. Sounds like you got your hands full, but we've been hearing about this sort of ESM message, enterprise service service management for the best part of a couple of years now. But to hear you actually doing it is very exciting, and I'm sure the business is going to get a lot of value from that. Just curious, what's it like talking to a team like payroll or P&C and saying, hey, you're going to use this IT tool? Is there a bit of like resistance there initially? We've heard that story before where it's like, oh, we don't want to use an IT tool, we like our inbox, or these other tools. Curious on that.
Yeah, I think definitely there's a bit of resistance to start off with. But I think that once because I guess for the payroll and AP, they're very focused on what they do and lots of volume through as well, and mostly managing things out of inboxes, which are very familiar to them as well. But I think that once they saw the platform and saw how it could work, I think then they started to get a bit more interested in it. But speaking to them
Yeah.
after they're in it now, it's just like, well, why did we wait so long to move to this? So much more efficient. Like for payroll, for example, I think that they were working out of emails and assigning emails to different regions, people, and those sort of things.
Very common practice. Yeah.
Now that's kind of all automated. A ticket comes in for a particular region, it gets routed straight to an agent that's for that region, and it's a lot simpler. So saving a lot of time, and it's surprising that definitely there's resistance to start off with, but once they're on it, it's like, why did we wait? So having them become advocates for the rest of the business as well, in terms of the next department to move on to it is really important, and a good use to sort of promote the simplicity of it.
Exactly. Yeah. The internal advocacy, I think, is one of the primary goals, or at least the primary sort of adoption. The best way to adopt is internal advocates, and especially if you can get advocates outside of IT. We've noticed huge success with our clients rolling out ESM to other departments, is you've got to get an internal advocate on board. And it's not necessarily that head of department. It could be someone in the operational day-to-day part of that job that just sees the light with these tools and can speak to the team. It could be a trusted member. And so, that certainly helps. And it's not just IT trying to push a tool to the rest of the business, which can often be viewed like that, especially in larger organizations like yourselves. David, what are you seeing out in the wild? Are you seeing how's the ESM messaging being received? Are you seeing adoptions like Opal, where they are sort of the tools perpetuating throughout their environment, or is it mainly an IT tool? What are you seeing?
That's a really good question. Thank you. If I reflect on how Freshworks brings these sort of capabilities to market, it's a little bit different than some of our peers. So, if we're just talking about ITSM, everyone wants first time right, ITIL compliant, all of that. The fact is, and Adam brought it up, this journeys capability, it's part of the existing entitlement. When you're talking about cross-functional workflows, Brett, you mentioned HR. It could be risk, it could be facilities, it could be legal, it could be those sort of cross-functional workflows. Many customers will go out and buy a point solution just to do that.
Absolutely. We see it all the time.
Yeah. So the fact is, you've got this best-in-class capability that delivers IT service management out of the box, and then this journeys capability that can workflow tasks and
brings it all together.
It's really, really powerful. But what's pleasing for me is to hear Adam say it, because that's for me, it's a customer that says, I get it. It's that light globe moment to say, I can do a lot more with this than ITSM.
Just the department that we're just about to bring on is our interior design department, would you believe? So they get requests and emails from the business for different things around updating our care communities internally. So that's a bit of a different one. But again, it's just service management, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very cool.
That's very cool. I haven't heard of an interior design department being on a service management tool, but that's quite cool. I was just curious, as we're sort of towards the end of the webinar, are there any questions from the audience, perhaps, that we could help answer as the panel? You've got a wonderful guest speaker here, Adam from Opal HealthCare. So pick his brain now while we've got a few more minutes left, or even David, if you like. While the questions come through, I might just pick your brains a little bit more. I think one of the fears around any kind of implementation, software or change, is the concern or risk around not only adoption but the actual change management, the actual change window. How did Opal manage that, Adam? What were some of the key things that helped that to be a success? And perhaps it was, the tool was already there, so it was a little bit more simpler in terms of you're not just bringing in a brand new tool. But tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think So when we had the tool implemented, it was already implemented within a company that we'd acquired. And through that acquisition process, we kept some of the team from that business as well, who were then able to sort of become the champions of that as well. So probably a little bit lucky in that sense of already having people internally that knew the system, knew the platform, and were able to build it out from a Opal point of view. But I think that in terms of the broader team and the engagement of it, I think that just from what they were on previously, or what we were on previously with the legacy platform, it was day and night in terms of the experience. So it was a really easy sell to get my team onto it as well. But I think from first implementation, it wasn't built out fully. It wasn't built out all that well, and we've improved it day by day. And I think really important to make sure that we're listening to the team. I think initially we had it out there, and that was how it was for a certain period. But then starting to get feedback more and more from the team on what their pain points are, what their bugbears are, how can we improve little things is really key. And I think that having that sort of those clear channels of feedback is really important in that early phase. You're sort of thinking of that sort of hypercare model whenever you implement and you're listening to people and you're acting on their changes as well. But I think from where we've learned from bringing the extra departments on as well, that's obviously a change management piece for them as well. But I think again, having that close support and making sure that they feel comfortable in the system, the training's ongoing, and that we are listening and acting on their feedback straight away, I think it is really important.
Fantastic. We've actually got a couple of great questions from the audience, Adam. This one's from Dylan. My question is, if we're planning on implementing ESM to our HR team, does anyone know what the biggest objections from that user base is?
If I had to sort of put my hand up as well to answer that one. So with our P&C team, we don't have them completely on it just at this stage. So one of the key things around it would be privacy, I would be assuming. So we get a lot of, if you're using it as an incident sort of platform, where people are logging work health and safety related type incidents, then I think it's super important to have that privacy element there. Similarly for payroll as well. So with our payroll side of things, for instance, as well, very strict privacy considerations. They've got their own dedicated workspace, and using our payroll example one, that it's segmented into different areas of the business with only certain people who need the access, have the access to see that as well. And similarly for our P&C team. So I think that would be the biggest hurdle to overcome, is getting that confidence that the system is, even though it's all under the one system with multiple departments within it, is getting that sort of surety that it is partitioned off well and segmented well, and that those issues are around access to information are considered.
Absolutely. We've actually implemented a few service management tools for HR, and that's absolutely the number one pushback or concern. So yeah, you nailed it there. And then a great question from Tom Lennon. This is a bit of a classic. If you could have done one thing differently, what would it have been?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that earlier in the call as well. I think it's just getting the foundation of it right. I think that understanding the workspaces, if you're thinking about it as an enterprise platform, making sure that you think really well and you leverage Freshservice for their internal understanding and know-how to get a gauge on what's being practiced, so that you set up the right fields and the right categories, etc., to then be able to grow and scale it out that way. So I think is making sure you get those foundational elements right, I think is the one thing that we probably would have done differently. But yeah, I mean, we move at pace and we get these things in quickly. Yeah. Using the agile way, we go back and change it and iterate on it all the time. But yeah, I think it's having a really good understanding of how the platform is or should be configured from a best practice point of view. And Freshservice have heaps of articles on their website on how to do everything. So it's nearly too much because you kind of get lost in all of the information that's out there. That's a good thing.
All right. Well, as we draw this webinar to a close, I'm going to come to you both for one last question. David, I'll start with you. Adam, we'll finish with you. So, David, maybe you can give us one or two practical takeaways for our attendees here today as it pertains to this webinar, reducing cost and complexity. Fire away.
I think we've covered a lot in this session. I'd say don't compromise on
it's quality.
A lot. Don't compromise on quality. Adam's kind of unlocked the potential of what a tool can be beyond what the original use case is. Resist customization and bespoke workarounds, particularly if you've got legacy tools, because that becomes a burden on your existing team and then becomes a problem for those that follow in the future.
Same problem, just in a different tool, right?
Yeah, and then lastly, those foundations that you build, are going to place you better to unlock the potential of AI use cases.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, David, and thank you so much for joining this webinar. Adam, fire away. Give us 1, 2, 3 practical takeaways for our audience.
Yeah, I think I guess we've spoken about this one already, but I think standardizing your processes as well is key.
Yep.
And I think Freshservice aside, and me coming from a non-IT technical background, I think having your workflows and things aligned to ITIL and ITSM principles super important in this day and age, so that if you do have new team members that come on board and whatnot, that they know and understand exactly what the processes are, because it's the same across the industry, across this space.
Yeah.
But then once you've got those processes bedded down and understood, then having them implemented in Freshservice is probably the easier piece, because it is all aligned already, and it's got all the different modules where you can link different things to like an incident. You can link to problems and changes and those sort of things as well. So you get that full visibility of what the causes of some of the issues are, and get that real data of how to troubleshoot it and solve it and get to the root causes. So I think having the foundations right again is probably one of the key things. I think also leverage your customer reps as well, customer managers, account managers, those sort of things as well. Had some really good relations with them and been able to move things along a lot better than what we did originally. I think it was probably from our side we weren't pushing enough, but now we're starting to push a bit, and Freshservice are really helping us now. It's fantastic. Amazing. And met David for the first time yesterday as well, and had attended a user group session, a networking session with other Freshservice team members as well. So I think starting to get a feel for this Freshservice community, and I think tapping into other colleagues and peers is going to be really useful to understand how they've overcome some issues using Freshservice, or even in their build and their creation of their platform, what sort of things have they come across as well. So I think that's really good. Good event that was put on last night as well. So thanks for that, David.
Amazing. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you to the audience for joining in and collaborating, and the great questions. I thought this was a really fantastic webinar. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
See you guys.